Hello guys, Mars Freeman's here. A couple days ago I saw a cool project by Niels Baker. He's using the Cesium plugin together with Google Maps and ChatGPT to create this amazing video. And I thought it would be actually cool to kind of try to make one on my own because you're using actually a lot of trending stuff right now. So I decided kind of like to make my own, and the results actually came out pretty good and I liked it, and I decided to just share maybe this kind of a bit long tutorial with you guys. So where we're gonna go through the how to set up your flying characters, setting up widgets, setting up the code as itself, and then at the end adding some effects. I can show you how he was doing, I think, the warping effect, and also how he was adding the text when you're going to the new location, how they're having the text. So yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty fun. Get ready for some a bit long tutorial and let's jump into it. You can start by creating a new project. I can be using Unreal Engine 5.1 version because that's the latest version the plugins support right now. If the plugin's gonna get updated to 5.2, you can freely use it and it's not gonna really make a much difference in the workflow. So we're gonna choose blank, give your project a name, and we can press create. So after that, we're gonna go to Unreal Engine Marketplace and we're gonna install two plugins. So the first plugin we're gonna install will be Cesium. We're gonna choose Cesium for Unreal. Then let's click Install to Engine. And here in the drop down, choose Unreal Engine 5.1. As I already have it installed, it's not showing here, but choose Unreal Engine 5.1. So the next plugin we're gonna choose is gonna be called Warest. Let's click it and again install to Engine and choose Unreal Engine 5.1. After that, we're gonna go to the GitHub and we're gonna download OpenAI for Unreal Engine. So if you go here, there's gonna be download the plugin here, and we're gonna download OpenAI for 5.11 and press download. After you have downloaded the OpenAI plugin, you can click on the content and we're gonna choose Show in Explorer. So we're gonna close the project for now. We're gonna go back, and in the root folder, we're gonna create a new folder called plugins, open it up, and we're gonna drop this OpenAI API here. So once the project is open, we can go to the edit, plugins, and we can enable two plugins that we just downloaded from the marketplace. So first we're gonna search for Cesium, enable it, don't restart the engine yet. And we also gonna search for Warest. Enable that, and now we can restart now. We're gonna create new folder, we can call it maps. Open it up, we're gonna press file, new level, and we're gonna create totally empty level. Let's save it, the current level, maps, I'm gonna call my map open role. Press save. So next thing, we're gonna need to connect Cesium for Unreal. So click this one, it's gonna open up new page. As I have already authorized with my Epic account, it automatically logs me in, but if you then just proceed with registration and I can see you here. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna click blank 3D tile set. Cesium Sun and Sky depends if you want to use their system and you want to make it more complicated blueprint where the sun adjusts where you go and time zones, then you can use it, but in my case I will not. Instead, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to Windows, Environment Light Mixer, and we're gonna create Skylight, Atmosphere Light, Sky Atmosphere, volumetric clouds, and I'm not going to create a high fog for now. So right now we can see nothing much is happening, and the next step is I will going to be using Google Maps to create my terrain. So next we're going to head to this page. All the pages that I'm using in this tutorial I'm going to link down below. So after you go here, we can go to credential page. You're gonna need to create a new project. Google gonna require you to add your credit card to your account, unfortunately. But after you have done that, you can create a new project. I have already done one here, and you're gonna need to create API key. I already have one here, so I'm gonna use that one, but you just create a new key. You're gonna get a key, and then all you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to copy this far. We're gonna head to the tile set. We're going to scroll down and we're going to search for source. We're going to change it to URL. and we're going to copy and paste this. And then at the end of this key, you're going to need to add your API key that you get from Google. Once you enter your API key, it's going to automatically generate a world. Awesome. So now we can just set up the references. So next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create our flying pawn. For your flying character, you're going to need to have some kind of mesh. I'm going to be using Unreal Engine 4 UFO flying ship, but you can use any mesh you want. So we're going to create a new folder called Blueprints. So we're going to make a right click. We're going to choose Blueprint class. And here, so we're going to search for Global Aware Default Pawn. That's the pawn that they are using in Cesium. The only reason we are using their character as a parent is they have a function that basically going to track our character when it's changing their locations, and it's just going to help us add some cool effects there. Then press select, give it a name. I'm going to write BP UFO. Open it up. So now in the blueprint, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to viewport. We're going to click this mesh. We're just going to clear it. Because for some reason, even if I assign mesh to that one, the mesh component is not showing up. So I'm just going to be press hidden in the game. We're just going to make sure that nothing weird is happening there. Then next we're going to do add. In my case, I'm going to be adding static mesh because my ship is static mesh. If you want to add some kind of skeletal mesh, some cooler airplane, especially the ones that are available for free in Unreal Engine Marketplace, you can freely do it. I'm just going to add regular static mesh. I'm going to parent it to this one, the component, so you drag and drop. And so I'm going to use my UFO. Cool. So I have my UFO here. So the next thing is we're going to start to build the logic. Again, if you're using some different character, you can completely leave your flying mechanics. You can use any flying mechanics. I'm just using something that Unreal Engine has used forever in their example content. So for that, first thing, what you're going to need to do is go to the project settings. We're going to go to project settings and we're going to go to the input. We're going to need to add a few inputs for flying. So we're going to add axis mapping. So first one I'm going to call move up. Move up. So I'm going to add for that W, and S. So depending if you are more of how you like to use your flying, it's like called inverted or not inverted in flying. Either you want your W to go up or you want your airplane to go down by holding W. Then here you're gonna set that. So in this case, if I remember correctly, is if I gonna press W, it's gonna go down, and if I'm gonna press S, the airplane gonna go up. So it really depends from your preference, and if you want like kind of shift it, then this is where you're gonna do. You're just gonna set in that case for W -1, and for S you're gonna set 1. So next one we're gonna add is move right, and again we're just gonna add D, and we're gonna add A. And I'm going to select A as -1. And then for the last one, we're gonna add so something like this so we can get the speed and adjust the speed of our airplane. So I'm going to again add shift, and I'm going to add control, and for control it's going to be mine. So these are all the controls that we're going to be using in this tutorial. Again, you can use any flying thing you want, and you're just going to be able to follow. So if you're going back here, so we're going to start with trust, check if not equal, then create a variable, call it acceleration, I mean set float. So basically we're going to be like checking if there's an input. So this is going to be a check for if there's any input or not. Then we're going to get acceleration. We can set acceleration to any number you want. In my example, I set up to, what is this, 10,000. Then we're going to take axis value, and we're going to multiply this value by acceleration. And also multiply this by 5. You actually can get this all mechanism from Unreal Engine 4 content examples, but you're still gonna need to fix the references because they break. So I just think it's easier to just write from scratch, and I just have an example for that. Next we're gonna select float. And put this one and this one. So basically what this part does is, if there is no input, if you're not holding acceleration, the ship can slowly slow down. You can skip that part if you don't want it. So the next, we're gonna need one more float. We're gonna call it current forward speed. So my current forward speed is gonna be again 10,000. But again, you can play with your speeds if you think it's too fast. It just, in my example, when I was playing around, it just felt right. So I'm gonna add another multiply node, and we're gonna multiply this by get world delta seconds. Just gonna add it here. Then we're gonna plus add. We're gonna add this with this. Current forward speed. Then we're gonna use clamp. So now we're gonna clamp it to set up minimal and maximum speeds. We can just promote it to variable with min speed, and to value that I used was for the minimum I used, let's file, was 500, and for the maximum speed I use 100,000. And then we're gonna update the current speed. So this part just checks if you're using the acceleration thrust, so the shift or the control, if you're increasing or decreasing the speed, and then it just increases the speed, and we're just clumping it to the min-max values. So the next we're gonna add the movement up and down logic. So we're gonna need to add another variable. We're going to add turn speed. So this is basically how fast it's going to turn to one side and the other one. Default I'm going to set to 50. So we're going to get the turn speed. We're going to multiply this by turn speed and by -1. Then we're going to add another variable, gas speed, absolute float. We're going to make it as absolute float, and we're going to multiply by -2. Then we can add another variable. We're going to call enter 2. So we can interpolate these values to we're going to set this as a target. Interpolation speed, we're going to set it up to 2, and we're going to get world delta. And we're going to get delta seconds again for this one. Then we're going to get current pitch speed, and we're going to set it up. So now we just need to set up the movement to the right and left. So move right. So we're going to get turn speed from here. This, and we're going to multiply turn values. Then we're going to get seconds again. Get world delta. Then we're going to get current yaw speed. Where is it? And we're going to put F2. Same as we did before. Down. Set this as a target. Delta. And we're going to set up it to 2. So we're going to grab current yaw speed. Set. Current yaw speed. Going to multiply this by 0.5. Select float. We're going to set it as absolute float. And we're going to need to check if it's greater than 0.2. So basically we are just checking if there's any input to the right or left. For B, we're gonna need to get actor rotation. Gonna break it. Later, gonna multiply this. So, and then we're gonna get current. Oh, we don't have it. Okay. Current roll speed. Get current roll speed. We're gonna do again if in 2. Same as before. The target's gonna be this. Get delta time 2, and we can set up current roll speed. The lastly do is just set up the collision, so if it hits something, it just flops back. So we're gonna need to get event hit. We're gonna get actor rotation. We're gonna get to normal from vector. We're gonna lerp 2 values, and we're gonna set to 0.025, and then we're gonna just set that actor rotation. So now on the tick, what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply now that rotation and the speed. Gonna get current forward speed. We're gonna multiply delta seconds with this, make a vector out of it, and add local offset. This we're gonna need add actor local rotation, get roll delta seconds, and this is gonna be a widget. So we're gonna need to get current. Let's break. I think we can just do it. Light structure. So we're gonna need delta rotation. We're gonna get roll. We're gonna get delta seconds, multiply by roll, and we're gonna put it here. Again, for the pitch, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna get current pitch speed. We're gonna get this. We're gonna multiply with pitch speed, and then we're gonna take get and we just get again from seconds, multiply here, and we're gonna add it. And now we're gonna see that actually our ship is moving in a viewport, and that's something we don't want right now. So we can see it's disappeared. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new variable. We're gonna call it is active, and we're gonna set it to the boolean, and we're gonna be like at the beginning we're gonna set it to active. By default we're gonna disable it, and then we're gonna put here branch get is active, and we're gonna check it if it's active. So now we can see it's, if you reopen it, it's in place. We need to add the camera to it, so we're gonna add the spring arm, and then we're gonna add camera. So next thing that we're gonna need to do is to put it in our game. So we're gonna create 2 new blueprints. First one gonna be game mode. So we're gonna just call it UFO game mode UFO, and we're gonna create another one because we're gonna use it is player controller. So we're gonna call it PC UFO. So I'm gonna open it up, the game mode, and we're gonna do is as a player controller, we're gonna select PC UFO, and as a default pawn class, we're gonna select our BP UFO, and then if you go to world settings, if you don't see world settings here, we can go to the Windows and you can check your world settings. If you go to world settings, then we're going to choose game mode override and we can choose to GM UFO. If you're moving around, we can go up, down, left and right, and if we go up, it should rotate. And one last small thing that I want to add is right now we don't see much of a movement and the ship looks very static. It's because the camera is glued to our character. And how we can fix it, and actually we can also see in his video that when the airplane flies a bit, then the camera follows. So instead of like feeling that camera is attached to the ship, it actually feels it's following. And it's actually really easy to do. So we're gonna go to the spring arm. We can go to the spring arm and we can search for the lag. So we're gonna add rotation lag. We're gonna add rotation lag and I'm gonna set this value. So if you go here, we can see that the lowest the number, the biggest the lag, the highest the number, the less lag. So 10, basically we didn't have any lag, it was just completely following. So if we set it to like 4, for example, I found out this number works fine. And now if you press play, we can see that we can finally see the ship is actually turning. Then before it just looked, there's no animation. And now we can see the pitch and goes, and it kind of has that small lag that gives effect that actually the camera is following the ship instead of like we are holding their, I don't know, GoPro and it's attached. And if you go back up, see now we can see that rotation that I was talking about. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start to work on our widget. We're gonna call it widgets, and we're gonna go to the user interface, widget blueprint, and user widget, and I'm gonna call it main HUD. So we're gonna start with canvas panel, add it. Then I'm gonna add size box. I'm actually gonna have 2. So the first size box, what I'm gonna do is I will anchor it in the middle, and I will set the size to 600 by 400. And I'm gonna center it by setting up 0.5 here and 0.5 here, to make it more centered. And for the second one, that's going to be where the text, if you see in my video, where the patient description goes, that's where so we're going to anchor it to the bottom. Reset this, and again I'm going to put size 1500 to 100, and I'm going to set this to 5. And we're gonna set this to 2. Okay, so here it's gonna be that where I'm inputting my location, and here's gonna be the text that's gonna. So we're gonna start with this. So I'm gonna add a border. I'm just keeping the plain background. You can add any image you want. And then for that, after that, we're gonna add vertical box. I'm gonna add another vertical box. We're gonna put this in the middle and sizing, and we're gonna put it fill. Then we're gonna put horizontal. Add horizontal box. Then I'm gonna add another horizontal box, and I'm gonna add a spacer in between them. So now for the first horizontal box, I'm gonna change this fill, and we're gonna add other spacer in box, Then we're gonna add text. And we're gonna write take me to. Probably gonna set it to black. We're gonna have take me to. Then we're gonna add editable text. After that, and we're gonna add another spacer. And for editable box, take me to, we're gonna set up actually this one to be here. We're gonna call this location. You know that this is location. We're gonna set it to input any kind of hint text, so we at least see where that is. So I'm just gonna put the capital city of Latvia. I'm gonna put. We can change the font size. I'm just gonna change it to 18. I'm just gonna change it to 18. So after that, we're gonna have another horizontal box. We're gonna add a button. We're gonna set it up to fill, and I'm gonna add to. I'm just gonna add the spacers to the side, and again, this is like just a formatting thing. You can choose whatever you want. I'm just gonna set the size to 250, and for this one again 250, and we're gonna add text. This is. Gonna change it. Button fly. We're gonna change text to text. We're gonna get text. We're gonna add it to the bottom, and we're just gonna write fly. So next, we're gonna quickly rename this. We're gonna call this search box. Just gonna click it as a variable. Then we're gonna go to our player controller that we created. Here it is. You're gonna go to event graph, and at the beginning of event begin play, we're gonna get this out. We're gonna write create widget. We're gonna select that. We're gonna select our main that we created, and we can just correct it now. And bring out the value. We're gonna set as a ref. We're gonna be main. W is gonna be widget reference. Main widget reference, and we're gonna add it. Add to viewport. So now, if we go in our game, we have our widget here. So we're gonna quickly create another custom event here. We're gonna add a key tab. For example, for me, I want to trigger the menu with tab. You can choose any key you want. Tab. So I'm gonna use tab to bring up my search menu. Then we're gonna go to main hot, event graph, and create a new custom event. It's gonna be so, and we're gonna call it set. We're gonna call it set search visibility. We're gonna get our search box, and then we're gonna do visibility. Get visibility. Actually, let's go to search box. Click again to the search box, and we're gonna select visibility to hidden by default, so it's hidden when you start a game. Then we're gonna pull this out, and we're gonna click switch. If it's visible, then we want to set the visibility hidden if it's already visible. And rewrote down here, and we can set visibility visible if it's hidden. Now we need to add two more things, because we want it when we're opening the widget, we want to be able to click it, but we don't want that mouse to be when we're, for example, flying and exploring everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to write get player controller. We're going to get player controller, and we're going to set mouse Add mouse cursor. We're gonna duplicate it so we can put it here too. So we're gonna show the mouse cursor only when the widget is visible, and this is gonna be visible. And we need to add one more thing. It's set input game only right here. Gonna add another rewrote node here, and we're gonna be set input game mode game and UI. So that's gonna let us to click on the widget. And now if we go back to our player controller, we're gonna grab this ref and we're gonna be set search visibility. File and save. We can save all. And now if we go to our game, press tab, menu opens, we can see the mouse, we can click it. And if we press tab again, it disappears. Awesome. Now we are finally ready to fun part, which is starting to set up the logic for the search. So let's go back to our widget. We're gonna go to designer. We're gonna select our text box that is right here, where it's called location. We go back down and we're gonna click on text changed, editable text, and we're just gonna click the plus sign. And we're just gonna promote this to the variable. We're gonna call it where to go, for example. In fact, we're gonna need to get a few references. So we're gonna be like get all actors of class. So first we want is to get this geo reference because we're gonna be changing these values, origin, latitude, and longitude. So we're gonna need to reference that. As there's just only one, it's actually pretty easy to reference. So we're just gonna be get scale 30. We just be get a copy. We're gonna be index 1 because we only have one, so it's not a big problem. And we're just gonna promote it to as a reference, so we can keep it here. And then the next thing that we need to get is on. So we're gonna get our spaceship reference. We're gonna cast to UFO. So we are basically casting to this blueprint over here, and we're just gonna get a reference. Some fun part. So we're gonna get we're gonna go again to designer. We're gonna select our button, the button apply. If you go down, there's gonna be called on click. So we're gonna start with, so basically if we click the button, let's search visibility. So after that, we're gonna need to set open API key. And this is something that you're gonna need to get from OpenAI. You're gonna need to get the key from here, the API key. If you don't know how to do it, there is a quick start right here in documentation. If you go to their documentation, if you go in here, there's gonna be all the informations. There's a quick start. It's gonna explain. Unfortunately, you need to pay, but you're gonna need to be setting the billing to use this. But for all this time that I'm actually using it, I got paid like very small amount of money. So for the testing, playing around, it's actually not so bad. Fortunately, it's not free, but so once you have set it up, you have got your API key, you're gonna need to copy it and copy it here. So we can just promote a variable. I'm gonna set up the API key. So once you API key, now we can finally start to do the magic. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna write OpenAI. So we're gonna search for this node. I'm gonna switch this to the TextDaVinci 2. Again, you can do your reading experiment, which gives the best results. This is so far that has worked for me. So we're gonna get where to go, and we're gonna put it as a prompt, and then we're gonna get the settings and grab the settings, and we're gonna make it. So if you open this web page, you can click here. For example, if you click here, opens up a playground where you can play around with settings. You can read what each setting does, so I'm not going to go very deep into this. And here you can write a prompt, get kind of like accurate results. I'm going to share mine on the Discord, so you can always join my Discord and you can get mine from here that I'm using to kind of like, so basically you're just setting up a conversation before you are actually executing your search. So for example, we're going to put like capital city of Riga, capital Germany, Big Apple. So you just kind of basically give instructions so it knows what you're looking for. ChatGPT, when you go on the website and you're just writing, the more you write, the more accurate it gets. So this is kind of like a prompt you said before. So I'm going to include in Discord mine, if you want to just use mine. So we're going to put whatever you want. You're going to put it as a start sequence. So basically what I'm going to be doing is, and you're going to, if you're following along, is I'm going to be asking to provide the details as a JSON format, because right now I tried multiple approaches and I think that's the easiest and best to kind of process the data if you want like multiple parameters. So if I'm asking for, so I'm going to be asking for longitude, latitude, city, country, and small description, and where I let him know that I don't want more than 300 characters. So we are giving kind of like Twitter style. And you can see like if I'm making requests, for example, writing Big Apple, biggest city in the world, world's tallest building, and then we get to use this data later. This works 99% of the time well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this, I'm going to leave max tokens to 250. So I'm going to change the temperature to 0.9. Again, you can see here are all the parameters, and you can just use the slider and dial it and see what gives the best results. So this is what I used. With 9, this is on. I set this to 0.6 and best of 4. What we can do is we can get branch here to test it out. So we're going to set up the branch. So if it's false, then we're going to print out the error message if for some reason something is not right. And if it's true, let's print out for now just the result. So we're going to use the print. We're going to grab this one. We're going to use this for each loop. This one here. I'm going to break this. And we're going to use the text. So now we open it up and we're going to write, let's say, capital Latvia. It didn't work out. Let's check why. Oh, because I have connected this one. Let's switch this to the finished. And now if you press play and we write capital of Latvia. Yes, now we can see that it gives the data. And actually, I want to show you one thing that it's going to be very, very important later. I want to copy this code. And I don't know if it's a prompt thing, but I was putting my prompt in and getting results, I get usually 2 issues. I just want to quickly show it. I'm just going to copy this code here for now, because I was running into the 2 issues when I was making my prompt. So for most of the time it works, but it did 2 weird things for me. And when we're going to get to this part, I'm going to show you. So for now, we get our result, which is awesome. So after that, we can delete this one. And we can promote this to the variable. And we're going to call it answer. We're going to put it here. Then on the complete, you can write various subsystem. And then we're going to search for decode JSON object. We can choose decode JSON object. So before we are decoding our string as a JSON object, there's one thing I want to talk about. Let's bring up my text document. ChatGPT is not perfect, and there are some issues that I encountered when I was running my prompts. And for anybody that has never done any coding, this is just something to be aware of. So this is how the JSON script looks. It starts with the curly brackets, then you have your code, and it ends with the curly brackets. So I have also got this kind of results, and we're just gonna start to slowly fix it one by one. So let's start with this first one. Sometimes there's a text before this, and obviously when you're gonna try to decode it, it's not gonna recognize it and gonna throw out the error because this is not part of the JSON code. So one easy fix how we can do this is we're gonna get our answer, and we're gonna write find substring, and we're gonna put this curly bracket. So basically we're gonna filter, we're gonna find this, and we're gonna try to get rid of everything that is before. And there comes a bit confusing part in Unreal Engine. There's a function called write chop. And it would sound that actually you want to chop everything on the right, but actually what it means is it's gonna keep everything after the chop on the right. So it's a bit confusing, and it's gonna be kind of like if you want to chop something, it's gonna sound opposite than it is. So right chop means it's gonna chop everything before the curly bracket, this that we have put here, and gonna keep everything on the right. And then we can take an answer, and we can set it, and we can put it here. So I'm just gonna move this away. So we have solved this one. So if ever we're gonna have this kind of situation, it's just gonna chop this off and gonna run it as it is. So now we're gonna solve this. Sometimes I got for some reason I got this code name afterwards. I don't know the reason. It just sometimes that happens. So just in case, I'm just gonna chop it off in the same way as we did. So we're gonna just copy this. We're gonna change the curly brackets to the other side. And this time we're gonna choose left chop. And again, we're just gonna put the index whenever it finds. We're gonna get answer. And we're gonna put it here. And again, left chop means, so from the left, after the bracket, you chop everything. So that's what basically it means. Just gonna move again this away. So, and the last one is, as we can see, it always needs to start with a curly bracket, and it needs to end with a curly bracket. And sometimes for some reason, there is no curly bracket. Again, I don't know, ChatGPT is not perfect, and sometimes I have this issue. So what we can do in this situation is, we can again get an answer. We can search for contains. We can search for this curly bracket, the ending one. And we're going to check for small optimization, we're going to check search from the end, because it has to be at the end of our string. And then we're going to search for branch. Then we're going to make a branch. Let's make a branch here. So then we can put this one right here. And if it's true, then we're just going to connect it right here. But if it's false, so we're going to get our answer, and we can search for append. And how I basically did it was with holding shift, press enter. So it kind of goes in the second line. And then we're going to add the end bracket. So this is going to make sure that it always has that end bracket. And then we can again set answer like this. And we can connect here. And now we can decode it. We can get our answer finally. And we can write make literal string. And we can connect it. Compile and save. So after that, we're going to check that the code is valid in case if there's going to be any kind of other situations that code is not working. We're just going to print it out. So if it's not valid, we're just going to get print, and we're going to get our answer. So it prints it out so we can take a look what kind of other exceptions we can make and how else we can fix the code. But if it's valid, then what we're going to do is we're gonna get string. We're gonna write get string field, and we're gonna start with, so if you go back, so the first one is longitude. So we're gonna just paste this one here, and we're gonna promote a variable. We're gonna write longitude. Just gonna add a rewrote node here, so we can again, so get string field. Gonna add another rewrote node here just to keep the code nice looking. So the next thing we have is latitude. Let's Ctrl+C, and let's paste it, and let's promote it to the variable, and let's move it up. Then again, we're gonna write get string. Again, we're gonna get another string field. Again, I'm just gonna fix a bit the node. After that, we have city. We can just copy it and promote a variable, city, and we're gonna move it here. Just gonna move it a bit up. So after that, we're gonna have a country. Again, I'm gonna write get string field. Gonna paste it. Gonna put it here. Fixing the node. Promote the variable. Country. And so the lastly, we have get string field. We're gonna put it here. And so the lastly, we have description. So let's get description. Let's paste description here to variable, and let's put this description. So we are done with description. So we're gonna get our flying pawn. Where's the UFO ref? And now we're gonna use something that's built into the plugin, and it's called fly to location. Just gonna move this one a bit more here. So we're gonna use the reference of our character. I'm gonna promote this to variable. We have it, we're just gonna call it fly to location. We're gonna choose set. Then I'm gonna split. I'm gonna set Z to, I don't know, 2000. That's basically every time it's gonna fly to location, what's gonna be the location. So we're going to set it up to 2000, and then we're going to get longitude and latitude. So the first one is longitude, as we can see here, longitude, latitude, and height, longitude, latitude, and height. So we're just going to convert this, and that's about it. Oh, by the way, a very important thing is that again, you can see in my prompt is I was requesting all fields be as a string because otherwise it starts to do weird things with the numbers, and actually every request came differently formatted. So if you have a request as a string, it should give all the time good results, and it's not going to start to shorten it. I'm going to set this to 95, and we're going to set this to minus 2020.5. After that, we're gonna need again this one, and we're gonna call it bin event of flight complete. Then we're gonna create an event. I'm gonna call it update georeference, because this basically gonna only adjust our player location, but we also need to adjust this one. We're gonna get our georeference here, and we're gonna get fly to location, and we're gonna be set georeference to, we need this, and then we can add this. Yes, we're gonna choose unbind event from on flight complete. So I'm just gonna add this rewrote node to make it the nicer. So it's time to check it out. Let's press play, and we're gonna write capital of Latvia, for example. Seconds on, and it's going. Okay, we're gonna fix these effects in a second. And yeah, this looks like Riga. Next thing we gonna do is we're gonna have this text right here. We can start to adjust that one. So we're gonna add another text box. Put as a variable, and we're gonna put it location. We're gonna call it location description, for example. Just add some dummy text there. I'm adding this. So we can see the text is going out. We need to search for warp. Wrap. Auto wrap text. So now we can see it's putting it nicely. And we're gonna, again, by default, we're gonna set it to hidden. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get description. And then we're gonna get location description. We're gonna be set text. Gonna put it here, and we're gonna set it to the text. Then we're gonna get the same one, and we're gonna be like set visibility visible. That the text after a while to disappears. Again, multiple ways how you can do it. I think one of the easiest ones are set timer by event. Then we're gonna create event. I'm gonna call it description timer. Get this here, and then we can just set visibility hidden. And now for just the testing, let's put it to, I don't know, like 10 seconds. Let's put 5 maybe. Go to capital of Latvia, for example, and bam, we can see there's a text. It gives brief description about Riga, and it disappears. Another things that you can add that we saw in the video is warp effect and that big 3D text. So for the warp, I actually going to be using marketplace content. It was free in September 2020, so if you have it, good. If not, it's actually not that expensive. It's like $12. Or you can use just any kind of other interesting translation. You can just make it regular cone and add effect to it. It's actually pretty easy. We're just going to go to add child actor. I'm going to search for white warp. And here we go. And now we can just adjust it a bit. Maybe just going to a bit more like this. So how we can play with it, we can create, again, and bring this child actor here. I can just call it white warp. And we're just going to create 2 custom events. Event. We're going to call one enable. And we're going to call this one disable. And we're just going to set ability. So if we want to enable it, visible. And if we don't want it, no visibility. And we can add to the beginning, we can begin play also that we don't want visible. And then we can go back to this here. Then after confirm it's valid, we can get UFO ref, enable warp, and enable it right here. Disable it. We can disable it here after we have traveled to location. Get here, and we're gonna be warp. Bam. Now we have warp. We are warping, we are warping. Once we are in location, it's going to disappear. For example, if we don't want it to move while we are warping, we can again hit this node and we can set active, no active, so we don't have input, so it's not moving. And I think other cool thing we could do is set current forward speed to 0, so it looks like it's moving, but it's not. And then, for example, when we reach a certain place, so it's not kind of like staying in place, I can set it to 50,000, the moving speed. Right now, if you press buttons, it's not moving anywhere. And at least once we are out of the warp, we have slight movement. So lastly, we can add that cool 3D text that we saw when we first reach a certain destination and print up here. So how we're going to do this is, so we're going to go back to content, we're going to go to blueprints, and we're going to add a new blueprint. We're going to call it an actor, and we're going to call it BP location text. Open it up. And here you have like two choices. We can add either use already standard text. It's going to be plain text without much of the customization, or we can use built-in plugin 3D text, which is again used in our video too. We can use this 3D text, enable the plugin, yes, restart the engine. After you have restarted your engine, we can open up location text, open up, and we can add two. We can add two text. So first one going to be called city, and again 3D text called country. Then for country, I'm gonna set it up to edit something very big. Enter it, and I'm gonna put to like 250, it up, and I can add level to like 1, and then for the city, I'm gonna put size pocket size 400, and we can center it, and I'm gonna put the level. So we're gonna delete all this, and we're gonna leave the gameplay. What you can do is set timer by event. Let's put like 10 seconds. So we're just going to set up the timer so when it appears, so after 10 seconds it disappeared. It destroys because we don't want that text to be all the time there. So we're going to just create another custom event, destroy actor. And we're just gonna destroy actor. So it destroys itself. So now we're gonna create a custom event so we can replace the text country and city. So we're just gonna add cost. We're gonna have two inputs. Create two inputs, both of them gonna be strings. We're gonna be like city text, country text, country, and we're gonna get city, that text to string here, copy this, one. So for disable warp, we're gonna set up two inputs. We're gonna set both to the string. So the first one we're gonna call city, and the other one we're gonna call country, and compile and save. Text that function here. So once we are disabling the warp, right, we can also get in the same moment the city and the country text. So we're gonna city, country here, so we can use it when we are spawning the text. We can go back to our UFO. And then here, what you're gonna need to do is space, we're gonna write spawn actor from class. We're gonna use spawn actor from class, and we're gonna use our location text. So that's what we're gonna spawn, location text. So I'm gonna open this one up. So what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to get cell, and we're gonna get actor forward vector. So we get in world space the forward facing X, and that's how we're gonna spawn always the text in front of us. Then we're gonna multiply this with something very, very big. We're just gonna change this outcome float, and I'm gonna put very, basically gonna be the distance how far from our spaceship we want the text to spawn. You can experiment with the numbers, whatever you like, and then we're gonna get actor transform. We're gonna again split it, and we're gonna add to this one. Then I'm gonna split this one. So we're gonna connect this and this. And for Z, I actually like to subtract a number, because when text spawns, what it's gonna do is, so every time it's gonna spawn the text, this is from where it's spawning. So our spaceship gonna be in this level. So the text is always gonna be, the country text is gonna be way too high. So we want to drag it down. So I kind of gonna subtract it with, I don't know, let's say, if you're always spawning at 2000, we said. So then I'm gonna subtract 1000, and that should be kind of in the middle. That should technically move that text in the middle of our spawning location, right? And then we gonna get rotation, split this, because all we're gonna use is Z rotation. Because when we are spawning the text, we want it to just rotate and face us, whatever we are rotating. If we are adding other rotations, then for example, if for some reason the ship is facing up or down, then our text is going to start to go this, and we don't want it. So all we need is a Z rotation, and anything else we can set up at 0. So we can just going to get set text. We're just going to drag this city, and we can just get drag it to the country. Let's say best blog Europe. And we are in the warp thing. And if we exit, here we go, Spain, Madrid. And again, you can just move the city maybe a bit, even like the country name. So yeah, that was a long one. I hope you learned something new. And again, this is working in progress. And if you have some suggestions and some improvements, don't be afraid to comment or join my Discord channel, and we can just work on this project together. As I mentioned before, I'm gonna upload some stuff on my Discord. Definitely gonna share my prompts if that's when you want to use it as a starting point. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you liked it, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye.